Good afternoon. It is Friday, July 26th, 2024. No one likes being made fun of or ridiculed. One of the greatest hindrances to Christians openly sharing their faith is their fear of being ridiculed. While he was on the cross, one of the major things happening was the people giving Jesus a tremendous amount of ridicule from a lot of different people. In Mark chapter 15, verses 29 to 42, and I'm reading from the New Living Translation, second edition, it says, "The people passing by shouted abuse, shaking their heads in mockery. 'Ha! Look at you now!' they yelled at him. 'You said you were going to destroy the temple and rebuild it in 3 days. Well, then save yourself and come down from the cross.' The leading priests and teachers of religious law also mocked Jesus. 'He saved others,' they scoffed, 'but he can't save himself. Let this Messiah, this King of Israel, come down from the cross so we can see it and believe him.' Even the men who were crucified with Jesus ridiculed him." The first one were the people passing by, the unknowns, the bystanders, the ones that just happened to be there, and they're just shaking their heads. And then they take one of Jesus' quotes about the temple out of context. They talked about when he said, Jesus, if the temple is destroyed, he'd restore it in 3 days. Well, this comes from John chapter 2, verse 19, where Jesus is referring to the temple of his body, and they think he's referring to Herod's temple. And he's predicting what's going to happen, that they're going to destroy his body and he's going to raise in 3 days. And they missed it entirely. And they said, if you can do that, why don't you just jump down off that cross? It mentions that the leading priests and teachers of religious law, the very ones who had set him up for the crucifixion to start with, were shouting, "He saved others, he cannot save himself." You see, they did not understand the difference between cannot and will not. Jesus could have saved himself, but he chose not to. And those religious leaders had absolutely no concept of self-sacrifice. They did not know what it meant to give yourself away in service to another. They were so stuck on themselves. Jesus could have saved himself, but he chose not to because of the Father's plan. And they said, if you can get down off that cross, we'll believe in you. But he raised Lazarus from the dead, and he'd been dead 4 days, and they would not believe. And so now they're saying, because he won't jump off the cross, they're not going to believe. I don't think it was going to matter what Jesus did. They were not going to believe, and they were just hurling insults and abuse at him the whole time. Even the other men being crucified with him joined in the derision. All Jesus could hear were the loud voices of dissent, ridiculing, making fun of. What he could not hear were the very silent voices of support. But he still did the right thing. He still gave of himself that we might have salvation. One of the things Jesus did is he didn't count opinions. He weighed them. These opinions weighed nothing. They had absolutely no consequence. But the opinion of the Father, that was important. And he heard the call and the voice of the Father. And he knew this was in the Father's will. This week, if you hear ridicule and derision, weigh the opinion. There are those who are going to disagree with you no matter what you say. Don't let it get to you. Let it go on by. It has no consequence. Listen to the folks who are supportive and encouraging and close to the Father. They're the opinions that ought to weigh a lot. May you listen to the right opinions this week. God bless you.